Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only, and someone else is actually online at the moment, so yeah, I was gonna ignore that for now, because either way though, let's dive right back into this entire Luigi's adventure. So, hey, what's up everybody, it is I am the one and only Maxi here once again, and I am back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as anything else will be expected by this point. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario 3D All-Stars while we're playing through Super Luigi Galaxy playthrough in the Super Mario Galaxy game for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we have basically managed able to continue things on in the bedroom dome and collect some more power stars along with it, and also we've managed able to already completed the 3 Trials of Galaxies in the earliest point if possible. And sure enough, afterwards though, we basically now onto the halfway point in terms of Super Luigi Galaxy playthrough. So because of this though, since though we now on to 61 power stars out of 120 power stars, so this means, you know, as I said before, we're now onto the halfway point of this entire playthrough of Super Luigi Galaxy in this entire, you know, Super Mario 3D All-Stars compilation game for sure. So, yeah, today for this video is the fact that we're also able to actually just almost wrap things up for everything in terms of the bedroom dome. Well, not exactly just yet though, because just like in a Mario's playthrough, there might be still some missions we need to head back onto from certain galaxies alike. But either way though, that won't be until for a very long while. So because of this though, it just takes some time to able to actually just to dive things up for the actual specific points. So yeah, anyway though, so let's get to it then, shall we? To go back onto Dusty Dawn Galaxy for the next mission, which obviously we were originally going to do this from earliest point, but I usually just stick around with the secret mission as earliest point if possible. So anyway, so that with that being said though, not much else to explain about this, I guess. So anyway, so a few things I want to explain while this is going on, and as I promised you guys about the fact the matter is though, we are still in the middle of the forms of the discussion about the forms of the latest Nintendo Direct announcement back in the forms about a month ago now. So as a result though, that's well, first off, I just want to point things out, today's day is of course the 12th of October today, in this case in 2022 today. First off, I just want to point things out is the fact that I am going to mention about the forms of what specific presents I've got from the likes of my yesterday's 25th birthday. So that means it's like, remember the line from SpongeBob SquarePants? He just goes like, well, you know what's even funnier than 24? And he'll obviously say, 25. Okay, that was a bit of a weird expression there, but regardless of such though, I think that's actually a pretty cool meme, especially noticeable because if I was going to become 25, which has usually recently happened yesterday, and basically if someone else is going to be 25, then that'll be like a the actual common meme for the sake of the forms of, you know what's even funnier than 24, 25. Because obviously that was from one of those SpongeBob's early episodes. So, well, to be more specifically, I would say in Season 3 or Season 2, despite the fact that it's been donkey's years since I actually last went to see or watch the episodes of the earliest SpongeBob episodes, because every now and then now is the fact that he just doesn't want to die because he just wants to become, you know, extremely popular, as to be expected. So, yeah, it makes sense because of all that popularity for kids alike. So, either way, though, everything else will be expected. So, yeah, that's basically all there is to it for that particular meme. So, anyways, let's get into the forms of what specific presents I've got for the sake of the forms of my 25th birthday yesterday. First off, I just want to point things out. I've only got amiibo figurines based off from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, because let's face it though, the only reason why is because I need a lot of cash, so I need able to get my opportunities to able to get not 1, but 3 versions of Sonic Frontiers before that game comes out until next month. So as a result, just to classify for able to not only get trophies and achievements on PS4 version alongside with the Xbox versions as well, but also maybe on the Switch version as well so I can play on the go. I'm not exactly sure what the frame rate is going to be like, but either way though, we'll see what happens there. But thankfully, Sonic Frontiers is not the cloud version, thankfully, because if it's the cloud version, then it'll make things 10 times as awkward as it used to be. So, anyway, so, yeah, that's basically all this is. In terms of amiibos I've got, I actually got about 4 of them for my birthday, which seems not as much compared to the forms of how it does it back in 2015. Like, back in the day, I usually just somehow managed to use to collecting a lot of amiibos back in the day, but since that every nowadays now is the fact that several of those amiibo figurines are actually a lot more harder to find right now. So this means about the fact that, well, thankfully, there's actually the amiibo cards as a replacement. So because of that though, I might try to get a couple of them from the likes of based off from the Zelda ones, and maybe the Metroid series as well, and even maybe Kirby ones, I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see what happens during that time. But anyway, so those amiibos I've got are Inkling Girl, based off from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, alongside with Wolf and Dark Samus, and finally Ridley, because, you know, I cared for those franchises. So either way though, I am biased when it comes to the forms of those franchises, as you probably already know, despite the fact that I haven't exactly got around onto the Splatoon trilogy yet, but I'll promise you guys, at some point until next year, I will definitely get around to them. So either way though, because chances are though, we can pretty much expect that we can finally able to actually decide to do the Let's Plays of those 3 games into one trilogy, depending on the actual daily schedules or something. So anyway, yeah, because they look incredibly detailed, and especially noticeable about the fact that originally I was expecting to try to get the Pichu out amiibo, but it's really expensive. And same applies to Young Link amiibo as well, because, oh my god, it's almost 80 quid. Which, that's why I tend to able to stop doing amiibo figurine huntings every now and then, because much like, you know, back in the beginning of 2015 and at the end of 2014 as well, this is where the point where collecting amiibo figurines gets a lot more ridiculous now. So either way though, because chances are though, it is so common that, relatively speaking, that the prices are Steam priced, alongside with the forms of Lego Sonic from the Lego's Dimensions game, alongside with the forms of Crash Bandicoot, along with Dr. Neo Cortex figurines from the likes of Skylanders Imaginators, as far as I recall. So either way though, dang, I was literally so close, because the star is usually right over there. Oh well, I guess we're going to be able to do this kind of an easy way by backflip and then just, you know, wall jump from here, and then next thing you know, hopefully we're able to let the bullet bill try to home in on me and go straight into the star cage as a result. So either way though, boom, there we go. So anyways, I guess it's that. And of course, the last item I've got for my birthday yesterday, and that's what appears to be Lightyear movie on DVD. Because originally I was expecting to get the Blu-ray version, but I am biased when it comes to forms of getting certain stuff on DVD, because getting Blu-rays, although nothing bad or anything, because I still got 3 of them, which are My Little Pony the Movie 2017, alongside with Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. So either way though, because chances are, I just love rewatching those films but in HD, so... Because, plus, not to mention though, is the fact that you can able to actually experience the HD version of the, you know, Disney Pixar Lightyear movie on Disney Plus, so I don't think there's any point for me to go after the what do I say, amiibo? Blu-ray copy, the physical copy of the Blu-ray film, along with the 4K version as well. So either way though, because chances are though, it seems a bit of a waste of opportunity in my opinion. So anyway, so I guess that's about it basically, aside from the fact that I'm just so looking forward to able to actually getting myself Sonic Frontiers at some point. So yeah, that might actually be my wishes come true, able to actually finally get a chance to play the open zone Sonic game. Not open world, but open zone. So yeah, I guess it's that. So anyway, so the next thing I want to point things out is the fact that since this is the 12th of October today, in this case in 2022 after all, this also means is the fact that for those of you who lived in the UK, specifically in the European countries as well, happy 10th anniversary of the release of Pokemon Black and White version 2 for the Nintendo DS, the last true Pokemon game before they moved on to the 3DS era. So yeah, it seems very understandably so. And especially noticeable about the fact that, gee, I can't even believe I'm saying this, that the Japanese version of the game has already came out for about 10 years ago, since in the June 23rd of that particular year, which is roughly exactly the same day as when Sonic Origins came out, for the sake of multiple platforms alike. So, yeah, it seems very legitimate, so I've no idea why he's saying things weirdly enough at this point today, because let me tell you right off the bat though, I was a little bit tired today. That's only mainly because I was very excited yesterday after I received so much presents. Well, not as often, because every now and then now is the fact that when it comes to receiving birthday presents on my front, that I seemed able to actually just get lesser items rather than more items, because back in, well, I remember that one time back in 2011 and 2012, and I think 2013 is the final time that I managed able to decide to go after more items for its birthday presents and gifts and stuff like that, because I was able to save up my money for able to actually hopefully buy some more future stuff in the future for pre-ordering certain items and you name the rest. So yeah, I guess that's that. And yeah, I think that's as far as saying goes. I think that's as far as I can talk about. So now let's go ahead and talk about the forms of the continuation of the forms of the latest Nintendo Direct announcement that just, you know, as I said before, did happen about a month ago now. So because of that though, yeah, let's go ahead and do that discussion part 2. So we've already mentioned about the forms of the first half of the forms of certain announcements already, which so far so good anyway though, despite there's a lot of emphasis on JRPGs once again, as well as too many emphasis on farming, simulating types of games after all. But either way though, we got back on track onto the next topic in terms of the forms of what's new about the forms of the Nintendo Direct, the recent Nintendo Direct announcement. Next up on the list though is the fact that, as I mentioned this before, ever since in the last video, since on Monday, basically we finally get a chance to have a look at the next wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass wave, in this case, Wave 3. Although nothing to show off at this point, although it did manage to showcase off 2 of those returning tracks based off from one of them in Mario Kart Tour and another one from the likes of Mario Kart DS. So first off, they show us a brief footage of Merry Mountain based off from Mario Kart Tour, and I get the strong sense of feeling for Wave 3 in mind, it will probably be expecting to be releasing at some point in this year's Christmas. Because the reason why I say Christmas, because obviously Merry Mountain is based off from Christmas Village, so I guess that makes it a little bit more sense to able to actually make its release onto this holiday season. So as a result, I just cannot wait until I go back onto Merry Mountain again once Wave 3 finally comes out. And yeah, I guess it's that. And also, they actually brought back the familiar track from not only from Mario Kart DS, as I said, but also from Mario Kart Wii as well. And that will have to be by the forms of Peach Gardens. So, yeah. And from what I've seen, the gameplay footage of both of these tracks make its grander return. I will say, they do look a lot more gorgeous, especially in Merry Mountain's case, because it looks so stunning to look at. And on top of all that stuff though, with Peach Gardens, it has a massive graphic overhaul when it comes to likely remaking that particular track in mind. So it looks very impressive this, which I must say, it does look very good. And the release date for that particular wave though is, as I said before, is expecting to be releasing this holiday season, because again, Christmas time as to be expected. And on top of all that stuff though, for those of you who lived in the UK, it'll probably be sometime in winter. So either way though, yeah, I'm very excited for that particular wave. So, and I think, relatively speaking, that was when the point where, as soon as when Wave 3 is about to be released, for the sake of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, that will basically wraps it up for the first half of the entire DLC pass. So, I suppose that by that time, my predictions are correct for certain waves for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC in mind. That because I remember back in the day, back in, I would say in February, that I did manage to able to predict about the fact that the first 3 cups will be on, or the first 3 waves will be on majority of 2022, and then the other 3 waves will be on next year in 2023, and my predictions are correct, because either way though, because chances are, relatively speaking though, I somehow managed able to figure out on my brain, so... Because unlike in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where it comes to forms of Fighters Pass sometimes, that sometimes it's all depending on the forms of development time or something like that. So in this case though, sometimes certain days can go all over the place. So, because I do remember that one time when they show us some DLC fighters and stuff like that. Like, I do know the first one in the lineup is Chronoplant, and basically that's been released in February, and as far as Joker goes, it did manage to came out in April, and I believe Hero came out in July, and I believe possibly Banjo and Kazooie, they both managed to came in September, and Terry Bogard in November, and also Biolift, despite as a worst character choice, it was actually in January. Min Min from June, as I think so anyway, and also Steve and Alex from September. No, wait, it's October actually. And Sephiroth in December, and Pyra and Mithra and on March, and I think Kaiyosa from the likes of in June as well, which kind of does the same thing for Min Min as far as I'm concerned. I think so anyway though, although I may be confused by this. And finally, Sora from October, the same thing as Steve and Alex. So, yeah, something worth classifying for noticing that. So, anyway, so yeah, that's that. The next thing they did revealed is the fact that with the next update, for the sake of the forms of the Nintendo Switch Sports, in regards of the forms of the next sports they added in, which appears to be body forms of golf, and for we've seen the gameplay footage though, it looks very promising. However though, there's one little downside I just want to point things out, is the fact that unfortunately though, Nintendo Switch Sports Golf Sport has been officially delayed until in winter season, specifically around the same season time as in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC Wave 3. So, because it needs some bit of time to work with, I know that's going to tick a lot of people off, especially noticeable because at this point in time, they actually start to lose interest in with the forms of Nintendo Switch Sports actually, just because, again, much like the forms of Mario Strikers Battle League Football, it's locked out behind those stupid free update system, which just seems a bit ridiculous and redundant at the same time, and as a result of that kind of stuff though, it starts to get tedious, so as a result, not much else to explain about this. And yeah, as a result, because there's originally going to be able to be expecting to be up until this autumn, but it's been pushed back until this winter or holiday season, and depending on what regions you lived in. So, oh, and another thing that's actually new to the actual, well, first off, they actually give us a special message to, you know, the one and only Shigeru Miyamoto, and that is the fact that he did manage to briefly mention about the forms of, in regards to the forms of saying the Super Mario Bros. Animated movie, and basically though, he also mentions about the fact that, relatively speaking though, that obviously that film will be releasing until next spring after all, and the Super Nintendo world, it'll be entering its second year in regards to the forms of the Universal Studios in Japan, and it also will be open during the forms of in Hollywood in California in the US. So I think that's as far as saying goes when it comes to new Mario related thing. I think that's all he has to say. But luckily though, despite the fact that I basically now giving up on the forms of the Pikmin fans anymore though, sadly, because obviously I have played them again, but I'm not very great at it though, I must be honest here, so... But, regardless of such though, for those of you other Pikmin fans out there, basically we have something good to tell you. Well, first of all, before we get into the most hyped thing ever, is the fact that, well, first of all, he briefly mentioned about the forms of Pikmin Bloom, which nothing right to home about, but it wasn't until afterwards though, we finally get ourselves a new entry of the Pikmin game this time, which appears to be none other than Pikmin 4. So I mean, what's this? We have Metroid Prime 4 and Kingdom Hearts 4, and now Pikmin 4. So, multiple 4s during that specific future years in mind. So, yeah, about time to able to actually finally get a chance to able to hear about Pikmin 4 for such a very long time. And as a result, the release date for that game is going to be releasing until next year as well. So because of that though, I'm thinking because of how the fact that it might be trying to celebrate alongside with the forms of trying to celebrate its 10th anniversary of the release of Pikmin 3, originally on the Wii U. So as a result though, we've now finally got the new installment of the forms of the Pikmin series. And about time actually, because despite I'm now basically Pikmin out, but that doesn't excuse the fact that I somehow managed to give up the series. So, kinda sad because either way though, I would love to able to revisit those games again, but it's just the fact that I just simply just not very good at these types of games because, well, it's just the fact that I found it a little bit too challenging and difficult, so... But that's just me. But, relatively speaking though, I did see a pretty gorgeous screenshots of the game, and it looks very promising to boot, so that's the only thing I can give it credit for, so yeah, I guess it's that. And also, they still mention about Just Dance 2023 edition, so nothing special there. And also, there's another farming game, which appears to be Harvestilla, so as a result, well, at least it's very promising, I suppose. Although, before I mention more about it, in terms of Just Dance 2023 edition, it's going to be releasing until November, 22nd, so nothing else to write to home about personally. And there's also the release date for Harvester is going to be releasing until November 4th as well. So because of this though, yeah, multiple November releases during that time for third-party supportive games. And they also briefly mentioned about the forms of Bayonetta 3, showing off for more gameplay footage, as well as the forms of a gameplay footage for the sake of the forms of Bayonetta 3 during around the same time. So I guess that's pretty much that. And also they revealed the next game in the lineup, which is the Master Detective Archives Reign Code. So yeah, I guess there's not much else to say about this, despite I'm not entirely interested with this game personally though, but that's maybe because I'm usually biased when it comes to other things, I suppose. And yeah, in terms of that particular game's going to release on it though, it's going to release at some point in next spring. So yeah, that should be surprising to notice. And also they revealed the Resident Evil games, which sadly though, it's going to be going on to the exactly the same route as in the Kingdom Hearts games on the Switch. To be more specifically, yeah, unfortunately though, Resident Evil 8 Village, alongside with Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, along with the forms of Resident Evil 2 Remake, alongside with Resident Evil 3 Remake as well, that originally did manage to came out in previous systems, but as a result of that kind of stuff though, it's gonna be cloud only. So because of this though, not too surprising there, well I guess that makes sense because the Switch can't able to actually handle a highly advanced technology when it comes to its richer visuals alike, which I think it might do the same thing for Resident Evil 4 Remake or something, but we'll just see what happens during at some point next year. In fact, kind of thinking about it though, between, I think, relatively speaking, that when it comes to Resident Evil 8 Village cloud version on the Nintendo Switch most likely, that basically though, it's going to be releasing until a few days time now. Specifically, 16 days left for it's about time to able to get Halloween release, so that's sure it's something. Alongside with the forms of, they briefly mentioned about the DLC, which is the Winter's expansion, is going to be releasing until December 2nd. And finally, when it comes to the release dates on, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, for the sake of the forms of the cloud version, alongside with the, Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake, that basically with those cloud versions, it will expecting to be released until maybe sometime this year, or 2023, depending on the time gap or something, so it's hard to tell at this rate, so, but at least it did somehow tick people off, most likely, because either way though, they're getting sick of the cloud variations of certain, biggest games ever, so, anyway, And the next game they did revealed is the forms of Sifu, which I have no idea what the hell that game is all about either way. Although it will be releasing also in November, which is roughly the same day as in Sonic Frontiers is going to be releasing. So, yeah, not much right to home about. And also, they've shown us some new footage for the sake of the forms of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. So yeah, pretty cool, able to actually now have that game finally have its own action-packed scenes. So as a result, I think it's going to be releasing during this December. So because of that though, it's going to be releasing until the 13th of December in this year. So yeah, pretty cool. Especially noticeable because it's so weird that how the fact that unlike the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's only exclusive on, PlayStation consoles, including every now and then, the PC Steam, I could assure you for this point. But either way, though, it has been a very long time since I actually known about, and you know what I mean, with Final Fantasy VII Remake and all that stuff where it comes to likely mention something like this. But either way, though, so it looks like we're not going to be ready for going to the center of the universe just yet, because just like in a Mario's playthrough, we'll save that for later, because, well, as you can tell, we've now actually access to the 5th dome, which appears to be none other than the engine room. So this is where we will find ourselves the 6th Grand Star. So, yeah, I do apologize if my belchingness is going on at the moment, so I do apologize for that. So, anyway, so yeah, that's that. And the next game they did reveal is the forms of Radiant Silver Gun, which I have no idea what that is. Although, from what I've noticed, it kind of reminds me of one of those arcade shooting games. And that recently came out just after the presentation has been ended. So, yeah, I guess that's that. And the next game they did reveal is Endless Dungeon, and it's been made by Sega of all things. So, interesting to noticing this from the get-go, despite the fact that I'm not exactly entirely interested with it. Although, for what I do know is the fact that the release date for that game is going to be next year as well. So, yeah, multiple titles is coming on to 2023 nonetheless. And, yeah, that might be something makes sense because obviously that the Switch is still doing so well at this point in time. So, yeah, nothing right to home about, I guess. And the next game they did reveal is Tales of Symphonia Remastered, which is actually based off on the GameCube title, which is of course Tales of Symphonia. So yeah, that's pretty cool. They're able to now finally get a chance to able to re-releasing it on a Nintendo Switch. So yeah, that's actually interesting, all things considered. Especially, well, Lloyd, as far as the character is concerned, I was familiar with him, especially because he made his appearance for the sake of these 2 Super Smash Flash games, which is obviously Super Smash Flash 1, alongside with the forms of Super Smash Flash 2. So, yeah, I guess that basically, as far as I can usually just recognize him. So, well, I don't usually play that much with him, though, because I'm more into, like, you know, the console Super Smash Bros. Games, basically. So, but it's nice to see the actual remastered game is going to be on there on the Nintendo Switch. And there's also another remastered game as well, but I'll save that in a second. So, and after that, though, they show us some more third-party supportive titles is going to be still coming. Well, some of them have already came out, like, for instance, Life is Strange Arcadia Bay Collection, which it already came out in just about a few days ago. So, yeah, at least that's that. And there's also the forms of Disney Speedstorm, which it's still speculating to able to be releasing this year, but we don't know when that's going to be releasing, though, because it's so hard to tell. So, oh, and another thing is that I think there's actually another game that's about to be releasing at some point at the beginning of December or something like that, which appears to be by the forms of Mansing Saga Minstrel Song Remastered, and I think that's going to be releasing until at the beginning of December. So yeah, I guess that's not much else to say about this for this point. And as well as they mentioned Lego Brick Tales, which it was expecting to be releasing at some point this autumn, but again, we don't know when exactly though, because it's just about speculating and stuff like that. So Anyways, let's go and catch that Star Bunny, and hopefully we're able to catch him with a bee suit, alongside with just, well, just try to catch him without touching any water and activate certain switches. So either way though, yeah, we did somehow catch him without touching the water, so nicely done. Especially noticeable because, you know, Luigi's speed is actually a much more of an improvement over the likes of in Mario's moves speeds, so huzzah! So relatively speaking, because as you can see, we're now on to Gold Leaf Galaxy again, which is just, you know, basically it's like a mirrored version of, or should I say, the autumn version of Honey Hive Galaxy for sure, so not much else to say about this basically, so... Anyway, and also they did reveal, let's just say, oh, speaking of Disney Speedstorm though, basically, it did say winter this year, so we don't know exactly when though, like I said. It could be either be December or the beginning of 2023, depending on development hell or something like that. But, sure looks quite fun though. And also we got ourselves a new season for Fall Guys, which appears to be body forms of something related to space sci-fi environment. So, at least it already did happen. It already did happen about a month ago, so either way though, despite... I will have to be honest here, I think this is where the point, I think I'm much able to not buy or not download Fall Guys every once in a while, because I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure the physics has been slightly off, as far as I did manage able to replay the game time and time again on the Xbox Series X during that time, whenever I did manage able to win someplace elsewhere. For the love of God, I keep losing the game just because of this weird physics. And that's why I've decided able to actually play Kirby's Dream Buffet any day. Oh, and I do apologize for that specific weird graphical glitches during the past few videos, including this one as well. That's only mainly because sometimes my computer doesn't usually keep up with the gameplay footage sometimes. No! Ah! Okay, whatever. At least the power star is not gonna go away or anything, so we'll just go back up and hopefully obtain it as much as we wanted able to grab it originally, but either way though, I somehow managed to get popped, so oh well. And now we get into the forms of the final two things they did revealed for the recent Nintendo Direct, and I will say, these two right here are the best aspects about the Direct in my opinion. First off, we got ourselves another remaster, but this time is actually based off of one of my favorite franchises of all time, which appears to be none other than Kirby himself. Which, yeah, if you thought that Kirby series was going to be taking a break for some time, well, turns out after the events of the release of Kirby's Dream Buffet, well, we're not done yet. As far as the forms of what someone actually mentions about, since about the fact that this year marks the 30th anniversary of the Kirby games after all. Basically, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and I will say, I am very hyped and extremely excited for it, because it not only is one of my favorite games on the Wii, but also is one of my favorite Kirby games in the entire series. Well, I would still say Planet Robobot is still my top, well, my absolute favorite Kirby games I've ever played, just because of not only for its interesting world layout, or especially noticeable with this theme, but it's also the fact the matter is though, it has a lot of fan services with all that, you know, callbacks from the previous Kirby games alike, and it's just that, you know, it's still pleasant able to look back on it though after 6 years since when it first came out on the 3DS, despite, you know, the True Arena can be one of the hardest, you know, the arenas throughout the whole entire series, so... But yeah, we actually getting ourselves a, well, as I said, the remastered version of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, aka Kirby's Adventure Wii, despite the fact that it doesn't want to call Kirby's Adventure Wii Deluxe, because it makes sense, because that will make the name absolutely ridiculous, because unlike something related to New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, that's the ridiculous name for a title, but it's still fun regardless in my opinion, despite it's a bit of a waste of potential, but... Anyway, for Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, obviously it did manage to revamp the visuals department. As far as I'm aware, it does look very, very cool. Although, this time around though, what I've noticed is the fact that every single character is now cel-shaded look. So, that seems a little bit interesting. And good news, folks, is that Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe unlike any forms of how it does it in Kirby Star Allies, as well as Super Kirby Clash, along with Kirby Stream Buffet, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Return to Dreamland Deluxe is going to be locked at 60 FPS, just like in the original version, which I think, suffice to say, I do really like it. And also, out of nowhere, well, I've noticed something right from the get-go. They somehow managed to able to bring out to ourselves an exclusive copy ability that was being present on this particular Deluxe Remastered. That's what appears to be a mecha copy ability, which its functions kind of reminds me of the robotic robot part from the likes of the forms of Planet Robobots, except the fact that it'll make things entirely easy. While it might be alright for newcomers, for those who have not experienced the original game before on the Wii/Wii U, even though it's kind of a shame that you can no longer get, you know what I mean, the Wii U downloadable version of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, unless there's a technique you can do by simply able to link up your Nintendo Network ID if it's possible for you. So either way though, that's besides the point. And of course, just like in the original version, including Star Allies, there's 4-player co-op multiplayer, and because of that though, it has the exact same character roster. You still play as Kirby, along with Meta Knight, King Dedede, and Bandana Waddle Dee, and even multiple colored Kirbys as a result. But one thing I found is a little bit weird in this particular remaster though, it's nothing to do with the game itself, because the game still looks great. Even if it's noticeable, I'm very glad the game exists again, but this time on the Nintendo Switch. So that means I can finally play the game on the go, rather than stuck onto the forms of the Wii system, or the Wii U, depending on your preference. And it's just the fact that the way that King Dedede looks on the deluxe port, or the actual, just a deluxe remastered version of the game, it just feels a bit weird in that game, especially because I know for the fact that it's actually based off from the likes of the design from the likes of And the Forgotten Land game. But either way though, I might try to get used to that. So either way though, because chances are many people seem to be able to pretty much used to the old days of King Dedede looked from the likes of in the past Kirby games, including Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Super Smash Bros. 4, and even Ultimate for that matter, because it looks very recognizable and stuff like that. And, but I might be biased, I guess, but either way though, that's besides the point. And, also they've shown us the forms of some of these sub-games we're all too familiar with all that. Exactly the same sub-games as you remember from the original game, but there are some new sub-games. Well, some are new, and some of them are actually borrowed from the likes of the other Kirby games. Like, for example, there was that particular sub-game that you have to find that specific panel, as what Megalore just somehow managed able to show us from the top portion of the screen. And there's also that particular familiar sub-game has been returned based off of the classic Kirby's past, like, for instance, we got ourselves Samurai Kirby, and also we got ourselves, I would say, Top Right from the likes of the forms of, well, let's just say Samurai Kirby was actually based off from Kirby Superstar in one of those sub-games, which I'm very glad that's returned, but this time around though in HD, remastered. And there's also the forms of, you know, the touch slide game from the likes of Kirby Mouse Attack, which I'm hoping that the controls in that game will be much more of improvement over the likes of in Kirby Mouse Attack, because obviously in Kirby Mouse Attack you have to use touchscreen controls in order to take control of the Warp Star in order to be able to knock someone else out, and yeah, that might be seems the case. And also we got ourselves a familiar bomb tossing kind of sub-game from the likes of Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. So yeah, that seems pretty awesome, and I definitely cannot wait until I'm able to actually play the game again, but this time on the Nintendo Switch of all things. And the release date for that game is going to be also in next year, but it forms of 24th of February, so I'm very looking forward to that particular game, especially because, you know, as a part of the Kirby's 30th anniversary, the remake of Kirby's Return to Dreamland has just, well, now become a thing. So yeah, I'm very excited with that game again, but this time on a different system. And yeah, that's pretty awesome and top-notch, especially because since I'm a huge fan of the Kirby games every nowadays, so in this case though, I'm very excited to be able to actually play that game again, but with, you know, way more better visuals. Well, I still kind of prefer the original though, in terms of aesthetically speaking, but either way though, I'm still looking forward to it regardless, so... Anyway, so before we move on, I suppose we should probably be able to actually just notice something like this. Actually, no way. There is that particular thing I was thinking about something else, because either way though, because I keep thinking about another one of those domes that I can able to actually access to one of those hungry lemurs for some reason, so... Anyway, back away we go again, and hopefully we should probably take care of the forms of... I don't suppose we should probably don't have enough time left for, other missions or something, but we'll take care of the forms of Bonefin Galaxy first. So Kingfin's Fearsome Waters for the final time, because it's kind of a shame, because this is probably the most scariest boss fights I've ever seen in my life. Still. Anyway, so with that being said though, the final game they did revealed, as far as what some fans are pretty much expecting at this point, that's basically the final game of that particular direct they've shown us for. That is the long-awaited topic for that particular discussion, and that is the true reveal of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, as for not only got its new release date, but also the true name of the game. And that game is actually known as The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Kind of a interesting title, as far as I'm concerned, because usually, relatively speaking though, because I just have no idea why they managed able to come from that name, although I get it because of how the fact that, well, I just have no idea what the game is going to be about, because it showed us a brief gameplay footage and that's pretty much about it, like exploring and diving towards the skies down below, which it kind of reminds me of Skyward Sword a little bit, except with, you know, the newer Zelda universe. So as a result though, yeah, we finally got the title of the game called, well, Tears of the Kingdom, which I will say does look pretty cool for a title. And on top of all that stuff though, they got the release date for the game, and it's going to be releasing sometime in 2023, as far as, you know, as we've already noticing this since when the game being delayed. So as a result, the actual release date for the game is going to be on 12th of May in 2023. So, just before around possibly next year's E3 for E3 2023. So, yeah, pretty excited, especially noticeable because we finally got the date and the actual title of the game. So yeah, that's going to be super awesome. In fact, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your favorite part in terms of the latest Nintendo Direct announcements, the latest episode of the Nintendo Direct announcements? Because I will say it was okay. I mean, there are some good ones for sure, but there are some other games I think it somewhat feels a bit questionable or controversial for most people, especially because, as I said before, the only problem I have with that particular Direct for me though is the fact that it does have a lot of emphasis on 4 farming-themed games during that particular presentation, which it's not my cup of tea per se, but I get it because of how the fact that with all these casual players out there who ever experienced Nintendo Switches for the first time, but either way though, and there are some missing games that has been not shown off in here, which I think I'll save that conversation until whenever we get to on Friday. Oh wait a second, I forgot to mention about the forms of the Queen Elizabeth's II's best moments in the past, but don't worry, I'll mention more about it until on Friday as well, so don't worry. We won't get to there for this point, folks. We are definitely getting there, so... Anyway, so let's save our game here, and we should probably end things off here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Luigi Galaxy in Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Is that we still continue things on in the engine room and collect some more Power Stars. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Later, fellas.